boxes. I mean, great.
This won't be the last car.
It's probably more late for malfunctions.
Go check it out. Oh, okay. Hold on. I think everybody might not have heard. Let's see. Here we go. It's all right. We'll figure it right out. Let me do. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let me just move this over. Oh, no, not this way. Okay. That there. Aha. Okay. It should now work. Let's go back. There we go. All right.
I can't hear you.
Oh, she should be able to hear us now. There we go. All right. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? Do you hear me now? All right. All right. Are you good? Is it working? Oh, yes. I'm going to go check on the computer right there, and I'm going to take this with me. All right. You are
Please unmute your microphone.
They should be able to hear us.
Let me try one more thing. It says you're unmuted. So let's make sure we got the right microphone. All right. All right. Go ahead and go test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2. Hello? Can you hear us?
Try this one. Okay, go ahead and try that again.
Testing. Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Oh, okay. There we go. Well, that's always helpful. All right. All right. All right.
Thank you, Sheree. All right. Good evening, everyone. As Sheree stated, I am Kamal Bagri. I'm the current Agriculture Commissioner and Sealer for San Joaquin County, and I've been with the county on and off since 2015. I was here as an Assistant Ag Commissioner in my previous era, and then in 2021, I was appointed as the Agriculture Commissioner in Stanislaus County, and then I came back December of 2022. So Sheree reached out and she wanted me to present all the regulatory stuff we do on bees. And believe it or not, even though it's not a big program in the county, we still do hundreds and hundreds of inspections every year on the bees. So we'll go touch a little bit about all the laws and regulations that pertains to the bees. And obviously, I will also be talking about bee registration, which is an important topic beekeepers always bring up, and type of complaints we receive from beekeepers and what their concerns are. And you can stop me anytime. If you have any questions, you can raise your hands and I will try my best to answer that. Okay, come on. It doesn't want to go.
Let's see.
I even try with the arrow.
Let's try this. And then let me double check that. Okay.
It was on because it was working before.
It was, absolutely. There we go.
There we go.
All right, here we go.
All right. So in 2024, and actually, let's go back to 2023. In last 2 years, with the changes coming with the laws and regulation for Food and Agriculture Code, San Joaquin County Ag Commissioner's office was not tracking our beekeepers. A couple of years ago, there was this Be Safe. You might have heard about this program California Department of Food and Ag had come up with, in which we were working with Sheriff's Office to track number of hives in the county, what was coming in, what was going out, and also what type of bee thefts were going on. In, I think, 2022, the funding for Be Safe program was gone. After that, 2023 and in 2024, we have not registered much of beekeepers because California Department of Food and Agriculture has been reviewing the Food and Ag Code and is trying to update it. So these numbers, they are not going to represent the exact number of beekeepers who come into this county. So that's why I wanted to say that. So in 2024, We had 111 beekeepers who registered through Beeware app, and number of colonies that were registered were, apiaries that were registered were 371, with total of 65,883 beehives registered. Again, this number is not true picture of what comes through San Joaquin County, because a lot of our beekeepers, we were not monitoring them for last 2 years. So a lot of questions come up regarding registration. I'm sure you're very well aware this Food and Ag Code has been there for a while. All beekeepers in California have to register with the County Agriculture Commissioner's office annually on January 1st. So when you say January 1st, a lot of out-of-state beekeepers don't show up until later for almond bloom. Some people start bringing their bees in October, but there are some very, very, very late bee colonies that come after January 1st. So it says January 1st, but that doesn't mean that if they show up on 15th, that why didn't they register? So the date they arrive into California. Every person who moves bees into the states or come into possession of bees must register within 30 days. So Food and Ag Code 209042 dictates that if it is after January 1st, then they have 30 days to register once they arrive into California. Apiaries must be registered in the county where they are located. So when we talk about January 1st or the time they arrive, let's say they are going to Fresno County, because Fresno County receives a lot of hives which stay there, and then they move into our county, maybe for melon pollination or some vegetables, right? Crops. And these are managed beehives we are talking about. These are not, hobbyist. I'm talking about commercial beekeepers. When they move them up north, they still have to register with San Joaquin County at the time they arrive here. It is unlawful to maintain an unregistered apiary. We all know that, but yet during the Bee Safe program, we found out that a lot of our beekeepers were not registering when they were moving bee colonies into our county. So they would register with the Ag Commissioner on day 1 when they arrived, or on January 1st if they were local beekeepers. But when they move their bees from county to county, a lot of beekeepers they are not registering. So we did education. At that time, we reached out to a lot of beekeepers and spoke to them that what the requirements are. Again, our office try our best to enforce these laws and regulations, but we don't have a full-time employee who's just working on beekeeper registrations. So this is a recent change in registration bee schedule. In the past, it was $10, no matter how many colonies you maintained. With the new CCR 2951, this is the fee schedule. You might have heard that a lot of county ag commissioners are stating that they don't want to charge anything for below 10, okay? This is what CCR dictates. Every county ag commissioners is taking a different approach when it comes to less than 10 colonies. That doesn't exempt you from registering. You still have to register, and it's up to the local county ag commissioner if they want to charge these fees. So the CCR requires 1 to 9 colonies is $10, 10 to 50 is $100, 51 plus is $250, and if you are a broker, you also require to pay $250. Now, this annual registration, in the past, you were required to bring the check to the county ag commissioner's office. This is going to be all changed now. These registration fees are going to be collected by the California Department of Food and Agriculture, and then Agriculture Commissioner's office will have a contract with CDFA to pay for all the work we are doing in the bee program.
Not specific to San Joaquin County.
No, that is statewide. Yes, yes. But one thing to remember, a note on the bottom is, let's say you were registered in another county and then you decide to move into my county for that year, you're not required to pay any fee, but you're still required to register. So Food and Ag Code 29070 states, if you're relocating bees from a registered apiary in one county to another county, you must notify the commissioner within 72 hours of first movement. And that's exactly what I said, was like, if you're gonna have to still register and do it through Beware. And that kind of sends us some type of a notification like, hey, there is a new beekeeper who is trying to register and there is a change in the location for their bee colonies. If relocating within the county, you're still required to give us a notice of 72 hours. And why are we doing all this? Why law requires this? I'm going to go over that right now. Oh, well, maybe in the next slide. So beekeepers and bee brokers can register using Beware app. How many of you guys are aware of that app? So great, that's great, because that's what we want to hear. Because in the past, when I was an inspector 20 years ago, we used to have this county map and we used to have bee pins. So register when the beekeepers will come to register, we'll write a name, we'll give them a number, and then on our map, we'll put that pin there saying this is beekeeper number 13. And on our book, beekeeper 13's name and address and phone number was listed. So it was a lot of work for us. And especially it was very difficult for our growers, our PCAs, when it came to bee notifications. And that's why Beware was developed. And Beware, we are enhancing the Beware because now not only you could register, but in the future you would be able to pay your registration fee through Beware app as well. So that's the address, beware.calagpermits.org, if you want to register your beehives. And pest control advisors, growers, and applicator can use their existing Cal Ag permit login info to get into Beware program. So all our growers now get their pesticide permits through Cal Ag permits only. There is no handwritten permits. There is no old DOS programs we used to use, or the DOS printers or whatever, ancient stuff. Everybody statewide is using exactly same program to be uniform across the state. So CalAg permit is our permitting system, but our permitting system actually is tied with Beware program. So a PCA who we have given a special login to, a grower who also has a login, they can go into their CalAg permit account, and now from there, they can log into the Beware program. And what they are required to do is, when they get into the program, they're required to perform a 1-mile bee check for potential pesticide applications which are harmful to bees. So they're required to do that only for the insecticides or the labels which are harmful for the bees. PCAs do not receive hive location or beekeeper contact information. This is very important bullet point, because a lot of our beekeepers are worried about their bee locations. They're worried about theft. They don't want to disclose where the bees are. So only person who could see is an actual pest control operator or a grower, the person who is going to spray. That's the only person who gets the location and the contact information, okay? And if you update your phone number, please make sure it gets updated in the Beware app as well, because a lot of our applicators complain to us that I call the beekeeper, nobody picks up the phone, there is no message I could leave, or they are not accepting calls from numbers, you know, the whatever local numbers. So that's another hurdle we see when they're doing bee notifications. Why should I register my bees with Beware? Why? Because Beware works with CalAg permit database, so that pesticide applicators can, and the growers and the ag commissioners can have accurate information. Like I said, In the past, we used to use these pins and say, where are your bees? Oh, they're somewhere like 1 mile here, 2 miles in the middle of nowhere. And then pesticide applications will happen, and then we'll get a complaint that the grower didn't do a bee check. So it's important that everybody is using the same program in the whole state, because that brings the uniformity. And also it helps when pesticide applicators are working across county lines. So it's not just the San Joaquin County is doing things one way and Stanislaus is doing it different. So everybody is required to do the same thing. And it also helps with the annual registration paperwork to be done through Beware versus you coming to our counter. And like I stated, in the future, the registration payment is also going to be available. CalAg permit folks are actually working on this portal right now. I just got an email a week ago, and the County Ag Commissioner from up north, who is in charge of our bee program for CACASA, for all the commissioners, actually is trying to collect information from all the counties, so we can, again, have a uniformity throughout the state. It satisfied the notification requirements to the County Ag Commissioner for hive locations and relocations. So that means you don't have to call me. Just go into Beware program, do your part of registering your hives, or when you relocate, changing the location, and it automatically gives me the notification. So then you don't have to specifically call our office and notify us. And beekeepers can use the Bee Check app to quickly drop a pin for hive relocation. So it's kind of an easy thing for you also. Again, rather than filling out the paperwork, calling our office, you could, it's geographically, it uses a GIS program. You can see exactly where your bees are, and you can click and it will pin the location there. No one has access to this information on your hives through Beware except the County Ag Commissioners. And there is a specific code section in Food and Ag Code. Your information is protected against any Public Records Act request. Any PRA request we receive for beekeepers, for their hive locations, we don't provide any information to them. This is highly confidential information. And if you register your bees, if everything is in Beware, it helps us to prevent bee kills, because it gives the information to the growers for bee notification. They can contact you, they can work with you, and that helps to protect our bees. So we were working with DPR last year, but January 1st of 2024, new regulations on neonicotinoids went into effect. So these were the pesticides we were hearing a lot about, like, hey, during almond bloom, when pollinations are going on, a lot of bees were dying because growers were using some of these products. These active ingredients are listed in here. They're very hard to pronounce. I can't even pronounce them. Clothianidin, dinotefuran, imidacloprid is the most commonly used neonicotinoid throughout the state by almond grower. And thiamectazole, they are used in different agricultural commodities. These are all neonicotinoids. And now with the new regulation, it limits and restricts the application rates, timing, and also a lot of crops got kicked out. If they are blooming, the growers cannot use these products anymore. So if you watch the news, because it made the news this past July, that a lot of San Joaquin Valley counties had to do an emergency proclamation for our tomato growers, because Department of Pesticide Regulations actually excluded tomato growers, and they had these restrictions that they could not use any neonicotinoid pesticides. So as a beekeeper, I hope you know that bees don't visit tomato plants because of the biology of the program. And also tomatoes is not the crop who uses managed pollinator. And that's the reason, because of the curly top virus disease, tomato growers only have neonicotinoids, which are very effective against that disease. But yet, DPR did not exempt tomato crop in neonic regulations. So most of the valley counties had to declare an emergency for that disease, for curly top, in order for growers to be able to use neonicotinoids. We are currently working with Department of Pesticide Regulations to address this issue because it just doesn't look good. You have a brand new regulation in place, and then we go around it and doing these emergency proclamation. Our whole point here is we are here to protect our pollinators because we need them, and we need them for a lot of different crops. Ag won't be able to survive without bees here in California. You're probably very well aware of that part. So, but we want to make sure is that there is a science-based regulation out there. So we are currently working with Department of Pesticide Regulations to see why tomatoes were not exempted, what is going on. And we have found some studies that they had cited, but those studies only reflected information in the glass houses and inside the greenhouses. In San Joaquin Valley, we don't grow tomatoes in glass houses. So if you read that and you have any further questions, you can contact my office. And of course, crop harvested after bloom, the use is prohibited during bloom, and additional restrictions if bees are used during the season. So if the growers are using managed pollinator, they cannot use neonicotinoids, or they can use them in only certain ways, only one active ingredient, and only with one method. They couldn't, like, today I'm going to do fumigation, today I'm going to air blast spray it. They can't do that. So there are a lot of new requirements per the neonicotinoid regulations. So these are the recent bullet points I wanted to bring to your attention. What are we hearing on our end? Hot weather attracts bees to nearby residential pools, ponds, and fountains. So we get a lot of complaints on neighbors. They're saying, hey, I can't use my pool. My kids are allergic to bees. And these beekeepers have these bees right next to my house, or whatever that is. So how do we resolve that? We are just middle people. We go out there, we talk to the beekeeper, we make sure that the bees have ample water and food so they don't have to go visit the pool. Or I had this really, really bad complaint 3-4 years ago. The grower wanted the beekeeper on their property. The bees were in alfalfa. But there was this person who lived in a house in the middle of the field, and she had hummingbird little houses, right? And the bees were attracted to that food or whatever the smell was. And this person was very irate. She was very, very upset. And we tried to work with her for 3 months straight. And the beekeeper was not from this county. Beekeeper was from Calusa, from up north. So it was making things very, very difficult. So because she was calling the board members. They don't help me. They're not doing this. It's like, no, we are doing everything we could because it's growers' property, and bees can travel more than a mile, as you know very well, right? So, so all we could do is check out if the beekeeper is managing their colonies in a way they're supposed to. And then obviously we do work with the homeowners and try our best to make sure that they don't have attractants for the bees. But sometimes these complaints cannot be resolved. And, you know, so then we just work with both parties, try to get them in contact with each other so they can kind of come to a resolution. But we get a lot of these complaints, and we have to spend a lot of staff time on this. This is a second bullet point. This is, I'm getting this a lot these days, aggressive bees when people get near apiary locations. So I know that in the past, we have actually grabbed the bees and sent them for genetic analysis just to see if they're Africanized honeybees. But there is not a specific regulation that would prohibit Africanized honeybees, especially if they're crossed with the European, right? That's what we are seeing. The bees are aggressive, but they are not actually Africanized. They are just crossed. So makes it very difficult, but obviously we get the complaints because somebody's walking their dog and they see these aggressive bees and they're not happy. So bee robbing, this just came last week because I received a call where a couple of beekeepers wants me to do a special ordinance in the county. Bee ordinance. San Joaquin County does not have bee ordinance, and we are really not looking to do one as of right now. But their statements were that their bees were being robbed by other bees. So the aggressive bees, it is very hard. It's an insect. You can track an insect, where it goes and what it's doing. So the bee behavior, right? It's very, very interesting. So we get a lot of complaints about that. And of course, the Varroa Mite Control Ag Commissioner issues the OP-ID permits for use of these pesticides. So if somebody's bees are dying and we get a call and they say, hey, you know what? I think there is a pesticide exposure and my bees are dead. So I always ask a question. What did you use yourself in the hive? I want to know that. And I want you to be honest about it, because there are specific food and ag codes regarding American foul brood, and we can do inspections, and then we have to quarantine those hive, and we have to basically burn those hives. I could just tell you very honestly. But when we are talking about Varroa mite, it's everywhere. If you don't manage your colonies and you don't take care of them, you're going to see the pest problem. So we at the Ag Commissioner's office encourage growers not to buy these chemicals unless they have an operator ID, which is a simple process. You can come to our office. We can do that electronically. You don't even have to visit. You can make a phone call. Everything could be done over the email or electronically for you to be able to sign the permits and then legally buy those chemicals and report that use to the Ag Commissioner's office. And neonic regulations, of course, growers and applicators are asking a lot about this because grapes are included. Bees don't visit grapes. Walnuts are included in these regulations, which is just very odd. Obviously, almonds, or peaches and plums and melons, these are all the crops in the county which use managed pollinators. But a lot of growers have questions and they are not happy that these regulations went into effect without their input. Oh, that's all I have. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. I hope I can answer those.
I'd love to come around with the microphone. Here we go. Here we go.
So a lot of this is, for commercial beekeepers.
Yes.
I'm just a hobbyist. Can a hobbyist track any of this stuff or go on to these?
CalAg permits?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So as a hobbyist, you are probably using some materials, right? Some pesticides to take care of your colonies. So you would still be required to get an operator ID and report that pesticide use. So commercial beekeepers, all the difference is that they're using things at a bigger scale. Of course, agriculture commodity, when we use the word, the definition is something which is going to enter the trade. Now, even as a hobbyist beekeeper, you probably feed that honey to your families or sell at special markets or something at a very small scale, right? You're not using your colonies to go pollinate somebody's crops or something like that. But you are still managing colonies, bee colonies, and I encourage you to register them. They're not going to move much. They're not going anywhere, right? And the fees are very little. And again, like I said, in San Joaquin County, I think I have told CACASA I don't want to charge those $10 if you have less than 10 colonies. And operator ID is just identification number, which will help you to obtain pesticides at any dealerships and then also will help when you're using these materials to report them back, and we just put that in our system, and that's all it is.
But that brings up a good point, because I think most of the folks here too, only have a few hives. They're not moving them around for pollination. We do have some sideliners. We do have some commercial beekeepers, but really the majority are hobbyists. And I'm curious about if the hobbyist, when it comes to beekeepers, has grown over the years. I think it would be interesting to track that, to see, the number of hobbyist beekeepers over the years, and if that's increasing or decreasing. But yeah, I think it's interesting too that they use the number 10. I know it used to be, well, actually, so up to 1 through 9 and then 10 or more. And these days I'm finding that beekeepers, even if they're hobbyists, will have 10 to 15, maybe even up to 25, especially during certain times of the year when they're doing splits, that kind of thing too. Do you know if there's been any discussion like at the state level about that number?
I believe there were a lot of discussions, and hobbyists were part of that.
Oh, good deal.
Yes, and I know there were a lot of beekeepers from LA County who were part of those discussions. So I believe that they came up with this number after they received the input actually from the hobbyists and the beekeepers.
All right. Questions? Raise your hand. I'll pop over to you. Oh, here we go. I'll pass it over to you.
So you mentioned hive inspections. Could you talk to us a little about what what that is, what you're inspecting for?
Yeah, so there are a couple different type of inspections we do. So in October, we start receiving hives, which are actually are placed on the east and the west part of the county, basically on open land pastures, because they're trying to overwinter them or winter them here and then put them out in the almond orchards for pollination. So we as an Ag Commissioner are required to do certain inspections for the pest. And as soon as the bees pass the border stations, California Department of Food and Ags have these border stations, they get issued a special form. We call it 008 form, because it's just a type of form which tells the truck driver that once these bees reach whichever county they're destined for, they are required to call the county ag commissioner and request an inspection on these hives. So this inspection is only for the presence of pest. So we want to make sure if they're coming out of Florida, they're not bringing red imported fire ants or hive beetle, which is very C-rated pest. It's everywhere now these days. We used to do a lot of inspections for that. So we make sure there's no soil, no plants or weeds, which could be attached on the bottom of the hives. We just do cursory inspections on these hives to make sure there is no pest present. We usually don't break the hives at that time. We don't open them. But then later on during the pollination time, growers do request to do hive strength inspections. That is a service program, and there is a fee for that service. So they specifically want to know if those bees are strong enough. Is whatever the beekeeper is charging them, is that a fair price? And is it an 8-frame hive or is it a 12-frame hive? For that reason, because we are the kind of a neutral party. So grower would request that, and we always contact beekeeper and bring them with us. So then there is no later on any controversy on what kind of a strength we are seeing in the hives.
So you're not coming to my backyard looking at my 1 or 2 hives?
No, and especially because your hives are not leaving the county and moving up and down the state. So there is no pest risk. Whatever is there is here. So no, so we won't be coming out to inspect you.
So, but what if his neighbor complains that bees are attacking her hummingbird feeder?
So
what happens with
then
that? So,
we will come, and since I don't have an ordinance where it doesn't tell you how many feet it has to be away, or there is a public nuisance code, ordinance code that we will talk about, but there is no bee ordinance, right? So then we'll be just talking to you and say, hey, your neighbor's complaining. So what are you feeding your bees?
My bees.
How do we know it's his bees?
That's why we don't issue you any notice of violation.
They
but
don't, the bees don't have little trackers.
we tend to check the area, and then we'll just have a discussion. We just play middleman, like kind of a thing. We don't enforce. That's what I want to use the word. We don't enforce anything at that time. But if you haven't registered, we would encourage you to register your hives.
Call them first, complain about the hummingbirds.
Call them first and complain about the hummingbirds. So we did have a question online from our streaming audience. One of them had asked, they have reached out to the county office for their operator ID, but they hadn't heard back yet. So if they haven't, should they call the number? Should they reach out?
Yes.
Okay.
And ask for our pesticide use enforcement deputy. Her name is Jatinder Gill, Gill, Gill. And you can always send an email, because this email gets sent to appropriate person who can take care of the issue.
Got it. So what kinds of investigations do you do if, for instance, someone thinks there's a bee kill?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Now,
I don't want any bee
I know.
kills because it's just a lot of work for our office, and we do hundreds of investigations related to pesticides anyways. So when we get a call, we will go out first thing and check out if this is something we think is pesticide related or not. Because sometimes bees are cleaning the hives and you will see some dead bees. One of the things we encourage all our beekeepers is that call us as soon as possible, because sometimes our beekeepers don't go, commercial beekeepers I'm talking, they will not go out for 2 months. And then they go out there and there is like piles of bees. Now, we don't know what's the window of that bee kill is. So we go out, we collect those bees. We have to collect those samples. We freeze them right away. Then we work with neighboring mile and a half radius growers. We check their records. We check what kind of pesticides were applied, how many of them did bee check or not do bee check. Or sometimes it's the neighboring grower who sprayed and they have sprayed the hive itself. So direct drift has occurred, right? Sometimes it's that way. So then we also will do, we swab samples of the beehives as well, if we suspect that. And then bees are sent to the California Department of Food and Ag's Analytical Chemistry Lab in Sacramento. And then they will send us the results and say, hey, this is the pesticide we found. But we have to actually give them a list of products that were applied. They will not run a screen and say, oh, well, it's whatever pesticide we found in a screen. We send them the information saying, we suspect it could be from this material because it was applied within the window bees were dead.
Kamal, kind of along those lines. So a lot of people are concerned about the mosquito spraying. So what's your office's relationship with the mosquito abatements? Yeah.
Vector control. Yes, I do work with them, but unfortunately, I have no jurisdiction over them. So all the vector control agencies are exempt from all the pesticide-related laws and regulations because of the public health component. So, but I do work with them. I met with them. I went to their special meeting. They do district meeting. They're not too far from us. They are right by the airport. And we have a very good relationship with them. So I do talk to them. I kind of like educate them. What is the Ag Commissioner's role? So they could be better about these applications.
All right. Any other questions? This is your chance to actually ask the woman herself with any questions. I think sometimes in the past, people have been concerned with, you know, Big Brother watching them, right? Why should I register my hives? That kind of thing. I know for me personally, it took a while for me to do it. And part of it was because I already had a great relationship with the growers that were around me. I'm in a rural area. My bees are in the middle of almond orchards year round. But luckily, because I have those good relationships, we do everything we can because they really don't want to hurt the bees either. Yeah. So, but this is your chance, guys. Any other questions? Did you? No?
Like I stated,
Yeah.
the information that is provided to us is highly confidential. So we will not release it to anybody, not general public, not even neighboring county ag commissioners. We asked 20 questions before we would do that. Like, why do you need it? What's going on? Tell us the background, all that stuff. And then I would assure you that ag commissioner has a lot of different work to do. We don't have time to be micro, zooming onto specific operation or something. The information is actually to protect our beekeepers, because in that way, if any bee kill happens, at least you can find out that whichever grower might not have done bee check, and then we will be taking enforcement action on them for not doing the right thing.
Can we revisit what you talked about in the beginning on Beware, CDFA? Will they be sending bills for the actual fees for registration?
So actually, it is to register and make the payment. So you won't be able to register unless you make the payment.
Okay, so I've got registration on through Beware, which I've been doing year to year. So I've got it on there, and it says, how do I pay my fees? And it says you don't have to pay for 2024 until, so
yes.
That's still in place.
That is still in place. So they are building the portal currently. They're working on it. And they wanted to do it for 2024, then it didn't pan out. People couldn't agree on the amounts for the registration. So now it's 2025.
Okay.
Wait.
Hi. I just registered for a fictitious business with the bees, and my tax man was mentioning that I should file with or register with them FinCEN. Do you know of that FinCEN? It has to do with I guess unethical practice of like with firearms or drugs and stuff like that. Is that part of something that we have to file with?
I work very closely with the assessor's office, and they're the one who issue business licenses, right? And you said they want you to register with this program in FinCEN or something?
Yeah, actually, it was my tax man. He said that that's going to be a new requirement that we have to file with them.
I am currently not aware that you're required to do that. Maybe it is a different aspect. It's something tax collector's office. But like I said, anything to do with my growers, I have a great relation with the assessor. And right now we are working on some of the information sharing for our crop layers to help the assessor to assess crops in correct manner. And if there is grapes are coming out and it's a bare land, right? So we are working together on those things together so that grower is not being assessed at a higher level taxes when there is no crop present. So I have not heard regarding that requirement, but I can always check in. But that was your private CP, CPA. So I'm not aware, and I'm very sure if my beekeepers or growers or their businesses would be required to do something, they would give me heads up, so growers won't be asking me questions. It's kind of amazing that usually my industry calls me, even though I have nothing to do with certain things. But that's just because we have a very good communication that goes on, and then we work with the other departments, heads and stuff. One thing I wanted to bring up, which is not in these slides, is that Ag Pass. So bees are considered livestock under Food and Agricultural Code, okay? So we are going to start accepting applications for Ag Pass this next Monday. So if any of you guys are bigger than just, hobby, or you're living in rural areas and you have 30 bee colonies, 20 bee colonies, and there is a natural disaster, at that time, Ag Pass will help you to get back and check on your bees,
Oh.
feed your bees, and do those things. Or help you to pull those bees out, let's say in case of fire, when everybody has to be evacuated, and now you need to get back to help with the, if it is safe. Obviously, Sheriff's Department won't let you go through, if it is not safe and there's life-threatening situation. But AgPass is going to give ability to all our beekeepers, our cattle, goat, sheep owners to be able to take care in case of emergency such as flood, and fires and earthquakes, that when it's safe to go back to certain areas, even in evacuated area, you can go back there and take care of your livestock.
Oh, definitely. No. All right. Well, with that, we're going to thank Ag Commissioner, and I'm just going to say Kamal.
That's okay.
Is that okay? And we're going to introduce our next guest, but let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We need help with our mic. Are you going to stick around with us for a little bit?
No, I've been in the office since 7 in the
Oh.
morning.
Then, oh, is it in your hair? On your name tag.
Yeah.
Yep.
These things stick.
And we want to give you this. So this is our official lapel pin to say thank you for coming today, that you can wear with your tea. And then here's a little bottle of cream honey for you too.
Oh, so thank you.
You're
Really appreciate it. I've
welcome.
never tried it. I've
Oh,
never tried that.
hopefully you'll enjoy it.
And
Thank you so
please
much.
feel free to call our office or speak to me directly if you have any questions. I encourage communication. It is really, really important that if you have questions, call us. Don't be afraid to contact our office, even though we are regulator. Again, we are here for the industry. Thank you.
There we go. All right, let's see. So now we're going to introduce our next guest speakers, but I'm going to give her this before I forget. All right. So because we thought this would be a great night to kind of include everything having to do with the county and hives and hive thefts and all that good stuff. So we actually have two detectives from the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office to talk about that and talk about rural crime. So this is a great chance for you to also ask some questions. So we have two detectives. We have detective, should I say deputy or detective? Either one. Okay. So we have Deputy Weaver and we have Deputy Crusenberry, and they are going to come up. I'm going to go ahead and mic them up so that they can kind of talk to us more about what they know about bee theft. So, all right. All right, someone gets the handheld. Okay. I will, or do you had the notebook, huh? So maybe we should switch.
No, fine.
Sure? Oh, no, it's okay. Put this one around your neck. There we go. Turned out should be in a good spot. Go ahead and talk for me.
How's this? Testing 1, 2.
Is
Good.
that good? Okay, perfect. All right.
We are not microphone guys.
Come
I'll
on
just
over
let you know
here.
now.
There you go. All right. Make that a little nicer. All right. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having us. Like she said, I'm Deputy Weaver with the Sheriff's Office. I've been there 8 years. The last 3 years, I've been in the Agricultural Crimes Unit and a part of the California Rural Crimes Task Force for the past 3 years. And this is my partner, Deputy Crusenberry.
And then I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 5 years and have been part of the Agricultural Crimes Unit for a little over 2. So got a little bit of experience with this. We deal with a lot of just rural crimes in general. And then we actually have a rural crimes task force that's statewide. So if we have any kinds of crimes in regards to beekeeping too, any kinds of crimes that go from county to county, we have plenty of contacts to go throughout the entire state to track crimes down. So
I believe you guys are going to have Rowdy Freeman your next meeting. Is that correct?
Oh, no, we're having one of his favorite.
Guys. He's going to give you a whole lot more info than we're going to give you. We just have a little bit. I just have a little bit of stats for the past 5 years in San Joaquin County. There's been 6 thefts, totaling $40,000. 2 damaged cases where it totaled $55,000. And there was 1 report of a pollen theft. I believe that was a homeless guy that got into a shed and didn't know what he was taking. But there's not a whole lot of it here. Yeah, he had no idea.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been very lucky in this county in particular, in regards to not having a whole lot of hive theft issues. Not to say that's not coming in the future, but it's not happening right now as much as it does in other counties. So one in particular, we had a couple, I think one last year when he had talked about was a vandalism case where I don't remember how many boxes it was, but it was several, like
Around
40,
somewhere around
$50,000 a
yeah,
box
20
damage.
20 hives, somewhere they were all burned.
So it was in the middle of a field and all these boxes were burned, and you think, what in the world would somebody do burning boxes? I don't know if it was a competitor thing or what, but yeah, very, very tragic. One case I had just recently, well, I would say within the last 6 months or so, we had a almond orchard, and this commercial beekeeper had a bunch of bees in the back of the almond orchard, and the almond orchard is open, so suspects, and it's kind of it's a rural area, but there's a main road. So I think somebody was over there looking around and ended up getting away with a couple, well, several boxes of hives, and luckily this guy was able to put his name on it so we can track it, which leads me into some of the other things that we like to talk about, especially with ag-related things. We have what's called a owner applied number. It's an OAN number. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that before.
Do you guys have your boxes or anything with your numbers on them? Anything? No
Phone
IDs
number?
on them? Phone numbers? Any other type of numbers on there? Okay, so he'll talk about that. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
so all that stuff helps. Okay. Yep, that's another option too. Yep. So this number is your own serial number for your business. Basically, it's like I said, an owner applied number. It's very, very easy to get the application. It's something that we always talk about with our farmers. And then once you have that number, you can stamp it on whatever. You can stamp it on horse saddles if you want to, whatever you want to. It's your number. So that is one other way that we can track something a lot easier. We did have a case that it wasn't related to bee theft, but we ended up doing, I think it was a probation search on a house, and in a random house in a city jurisdiction. And lo and behold, there's 2 bee boxes in the backyard. It's like, oh, that's very interesting. So then we look around, and sure enough, there was a OAN number on one of those boxes, and we were able to, through a little bit of research, track down who that hive belonged to.
We're actually able to call Rowdy, and he got us the name, number of the owner, who said he gave a few away a while back, but it just goes to show those numbers do help.
Yeah.
Is there a fee for registering that number?
No. And even either ourselves or our STARS department will help with stamping it if you needed any help with stamping, or if you needed any help with kind of engraving or something like that. But yeah. Oh, I'm willing to give it a shot. Yeah.
You can apply for that number on the California Rural Crimes Task Force webpage.
And you can see us after. We'll get you the link to the website. It's very, very easy to do. Yes.
Where'd you get the number from?
It's the California Rural Crimes Prevention Task Force. And there's little slats up on the top. Just click it. It'll say OAN. Just click that, and it's real simple. It takes probably 2 minutes to fill out. I have one. He has one. Just put on whatever you want.
And then our entire task force has access to that. So then we can very quickly find out whatever product it was that was taken, who it belongs to. So
do you have hives? That's why you have that number on it?
No, you can put that number on anything you want. You can put it on your wallet, on your shirt, whatever.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's your number, so we know that shirt belongs to you.
Yep.
If we find it.
Yep. So yeah, it's another option there.
I do have a hive. I don't know what I'm doing. I did it maybe like a year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
I have no clue. They left, they came back, I got some honey, and that's about all I know. So the first time I did it, I put the suit on and everything and thought I was doing the right thing. I brought it all over to the driveway. thought I got all the bees out of there, so I went in the house, took the suit off, and I was coming out hosing the driveway off, and I got one right in the ear. I was running around the front yard. My wife was laughing, and I finally flew out, and that was that. But that was the last time I checked it.
I will say, did get some good honey out of that though. It was pretty good.
And then my daughter made chapstick out of wax.
So just as much we don't have a lot of bee related theft, right? Or issues. So we're here also to learn a little bit about what you guys do and about the hobby itself. So,
and like she said, air tags, if you guys have these on the fields, you can put an air tag.
Very useful.
It works.
Do you hear anything from neighboring counties? Like we're in Calaveras County.
Stanislaus County has a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I would say Stanislaus and south from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where someone has stolen hives and they're moving them through our county to get somewhere else? Or do you see an increase of, and you might or might not know this, but increase in beehive thefts, obviously during pollination season? Do you see a correlation at all?
We've only had a couple in the past 5 years, so we really don't know. There's not a lot going on here.
And I think the case that I took was like right during the beginning of the season, if I remember right.
And there's a lot of beehives around here everywhere.
Yeah.
All over. Yes.
So another question I have was, who would you find when you have seen these crimes happen with bees? Is it, obviously for me, I think of, well, gosh, who would know how to handle or even want to steal bees unless they were unfortunately a beekeeper? So is that a common thread? Is it usually this is sad to say, beekeepers stealing other beekeepers?
I think the one that we recently, I think, were told of was Stanton County. It was another beekeeper who was going out at night, because he had all the equipment and everything, and he was stealing them and then selling them to someone else. So he knew what he was doing, and he had a truck, forklift, everything.
Yep.
So go ahead, Wayne.
I was curious, if they get caught, what is the penalty?
You're looking at possession of stolen property, and like was talked about earlier, that's livestock. I didn't know that until recently too. Yeah, that bees are livestock. So
The theft, the possession of stolen property. If there's 2 or more of them, you got conspiracy. So it just all depends on what's going on.
So what are the things that we can do as beekeepers to help prevent that? I mean, you talked about the number.
Yep.
And so identifying the hives somehow.
I would say, sorry to interrupt. I would say too, if you can at all, if it's commercial related, try to work with the farmer or something. And sometimes we see a gates open or things like that where maybe crimes could be prevented. Make sure that maybe the bee boxes are secluded in an area where they're not seen easily from the road. I think in my case, it was kind of sort of secluded, but if you looked, across the road, you can see where the bee boxes are. So, yeah. And the air tags. Air tags are huge. Yeah.
I get a lot of calls, thanks to the county, for bee swarms. And when I'll go out, the homeowners typically will tell me, oh, I called pest control people and they said it's against the law to kill bees. That doesn't really directly relate to you, but where does that come from?
I have no idea on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of livestock. But I mean, repeatedly, pest control people will not destroy the bees, and that's the story. Does anybody else here know? What
about wasps?
Wasps? Yeah, right.
Okay, just making sure. All right.
Well, and a little bit about us. So we're a beekeeping club that's been around since 2019. So before COVID hit. And we have people from across the region come to the meeting. So we have people as far away as Atwater, Elk Grove, Sacramento, Calaveras County, just across San Joaquin Valley as well. Most of us are hobbyists. So most of us have just a couple of hives, maybe 9 or 10 hives. We have some sideliners, which are maybe might have, 20, 30, 40, 50 on up that maybe do some pollination. Then we have some commercial beekeepers that have a larger amount that do move. That's a business, right? Is pollination. But when we try to meet monthly, we do educational meetings, we do classes in the spring to try and encourage beekeeping. And gosh, what else? What else, you guys, about us? What else
we take newbies, just we bring them in and we teach them what we have.
Oh, perfect.
I know nothing.
Perfect.
He wants to start too.
I do. Yeah. I find it very intriguing. It's
beginning process, spring. Yeah, beginner beekeeping
yes.
in the spring. Yeah.
Nice.
We have our educational hive. So Jesse's Grove, we were searching for almost a year for an educational hive location. And for a long time, we were working with the San Joaquin Historical Museum, but unfortunately, it didn't pan out. There were some concerns on the county park side. So Jesse's Grove, very fortunately, we were able to partner with them. So we have 4 hives out there that we maintain, and we open up a couple of times a month so that beekeepers, new beekeepers, or people that aren't sure if they want to beekeep, can come in and get hands-on experience. Because it's one thing, I think everybody will agree here. It's one thing to learn about bees online and watch YouTube videos and read books, but until you actually get in front of a hive and you shake a frame of bees and you have
some real world experience.
And you
yeah.
take off running the other way.
Yeah.
No, right? And so that's our kind of our way to allow some mentorship, by opening up those hives and people come out. So you're always more than welcome. Just let Bill know if you want to come out on Saturday. But Jesse's Grove has been great to work with. Cool. And gosh, what else do? We do new quarters at the end of the year. We do. We work with a local beekeeper to supply members with bees, so that people don't have to drive too far to pick them up. So we basically we're the transport. We bring the bees down for everybody, and then we do our classes and then monthly meetings and stuff. But yeah, beekeeping is a learned art, and I think it takes a couple of years, right? And there's a joke that if you ask 6 beekeepers the same question, you're going to get 6 different answers. So we're also all about making scientific decisions and treatments of our hives to manage the varroa mite effectively, because that's your job, right? You're a beekeeper, which means that you keep and care for your colonies. We try to participate, like Judy mentioned about the swarms. So we do in springtime, we have if you remember, you can join the swarm catchers group, and wow. Basically people will go out and they'll catch swarms. And I don't know. We do a lot more than that. I'm just like,
yeah.
Having a honey fair in November. We try to get as many guest speakers as we can during the year that are, whether we string them in or we have them in live, live in person, just because it's a chance for us to be educated, whether we're a beginner or intermediate or advanced. So that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell. But I'm curious, so I'm really glad to hear that there's not as many hive thefts in our county specifically.
As of now.
Yes.
Yes.
If you go down Lower Sacramento Road, you'll see those pallets and pallets and pallets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beehives, I'm surprised.
Yep. These are just reported. There's probably other thefts that weren't reported. That's another issue.
Absolutely true.
If they don't report it, then we don't know. We don't know where to go, what to look for.
Tell us about you and tell us more about the rural, crime unit.
What's the most type of crime that you get called on? Stealing?
Right now. Well, yeah, there's a whole separate unit for that.
With the ag pumps.
Yeah.
Copper there.
Yeah, a lot of ag pump.
Quads, trailers, tractors, hay, all that kind of stuff. Yes, that too. Yes. Every day.
How long have you involved in built? How long have you been Leo's? Have you been in, is it Ag.N.E.T or Rural Crime Task Force?
We're part of Ag.N.E.T, but we handle the ag side of Ag.N.E.T. And then we're also part of the task force.
So we join in and do high priority apprehension, stuff like that too. But we also focus on the ag side of that. So we do a lot of ag related rural crimes.
So what's involved in like a typical investigation? Like what do you, obviously someone has to report the crime, but then where do you get started?
Sometimes. Yeah. Oh man,
Oh.
it all depends on the
Well,
crime.
it depends on what's going on.
Sometimes it starts from a farmer who says, you know, this got stolen, and there might be GPS on it that helps us out. There might not be.
Mhm.
So we have different investigative tools that will help us kind of narrow it down to where these items are. Or we have people that we've contacted in the past, and we say, okay, this person has stolen this stuff in the past, and a lot of times it's the same person. So stuff like that. Yeah. Shocker. Yeah. So yeah.
Big issues with someone like that in Calaveras County. There's one specific person that was anyhow. But even in like the Lockford area, the municipal meetings, they talk about there was a specific person that everyone kind of keeps an eye on.
So you probably know who he is then.
Yeah.
We're in Lockford and Clements as much as we can.
A lot. So, and then we have what's special about our team as far as the ag side goes is we have a lot of great relationships with the farming community and with the farmers themselves. So we actually, it's not bee related, but we actually have a case that I had worked, I don't know, a little over a year ago, where this random person shows up trying to sell a side-by-side to this farmer who's out working in the field, and the farmer goes, that doesn't look right. So then he contacts us, correct? So then we start doing an investigation, and lo and behold, we found that case. There was a stolen side-by-side. There was the stolen truck and trailer that picked up the side-by-side and stole it. And then another commercial generator got stolen during this one guy, right? So that's why we like to have good relationships with everyone. So that way, in case something pops up, you see something suspicious, you can send us a text or call us and take a picture. And a lot of times that will develop into this huge case that we didn't anticipate.
So
And it's happened.
sometimes people aren't sure what looks suspicious and what's not, right?
It doesn't matter, whatever, just call it in. If you think it is, just call it in. Because if it's not, then oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, don't feel like you're bothering the sheriff's office or us by calling, because we've had cases where we've had a photo of a vehicle, people peeking into a barn, and that turns into guns and drugs. Not kidding. It can go that far. So yeah, don't ever hesitate to call.
You guys doing bait vehicles?
Maybe.
I wouldn't pick up anything on the side of the road.
Bringing it back to bees, you have a neighbor that maybe has this hive like right next to your fence. Can you guys have them arrested?
Oh. Does that person have hummingbirds?
Yeah, if you can take anything out of it, label your boxes, trackers. You guys can just share.
Yeah, all about labeling. The more you can label, the more you can let somebody know. If that box ends up in the back of a pickup truck, and then we do a traffic stop on this pickup truck and we see that box, you may not even know it's gone at that point in time. But if we see it, we can identify who it is, give whomever a call, and then, oh yeah, that's my box. It must have got stolen a couple days ago, last week, whatever. So identification is huge, crucial.
So if you got one of these OAN numbers and then you put it on something and then you sold it, then get it stolen, and then they get it stolen, would it come back to you, or do you have to take the numbers off?
It's gonna come back to you. Like we would end up calling you and you would say, oh, I sold it to this person. So you could either, yeah, depending on how you put it on there, you can grind it off, weld over it, or anything.
That's actually how, I think that's how we ended up finding the owner of the ones that we found in the backyard.
Yes.
Was somebody sold it to this person who sold it to this person, and it helps us, it at least helps us track it down. All right. Well, thank you for your time, guys, and I appreciate it a lot. Yeah.
Any question?
What
was it?
We call sheriff's department?
Yes.
Yes.
468. Yeah. And then if it's a B, yeah, if it's just regular suspicious stuff, yeah, sheriff's office. If something ag related, ask them to call one of us and then.
I have business
then we'll
cards
call
too.
you.
If you guys need them, I'll send them out. Yep.
You can put a stack of them on the table here.
Yeah, we'll do that.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So we'd like to also give you each a lapel pen
you.
for our beekeeping group, as well
Wow, thank
as
you.
a little sample of honey. This is a
Very
created
nice.
honey. So enjoy that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
really truly do appreciate
Wow.
you both being here, and thank you. Thank you. And we definitely would love to we'd love to get your cards and all that good stuff before you go. So, all right. So, my task tonight will be to see if the recording actually recorded the first part while I was talking on our recording. So see what happens. So for all of those online, I'll try and do a synopsis and then post it or email it or something, because we had a lot of information to share. Our next meeting again is October 10th. We're going to have the California Beekeeper here in person. We want a full house, just like all of you guys here, full house, which would be great. So make sure to spread the word with all your friends and neighbors and all that good stuff. We still have paint, I think, in the parking lot. So see Wayne. And then if you'd like to enter your honey or have a spot at our honey harvest fair in November to sell your honey, we'd love to have you. So you can come talk to me or Bill or Judy or Zoe or Mark. All right. Did anybody bring any questions with them, beekeeping wise, that they wanted to ask the full group? Oh, me. Sorry. Yes. So I'm the one that takes the money for the patties. And then again, we'll have them for distribution on the 10th. Please come on the 10th if you've ordered them. So I don't have to try and take them home. All right. Anybody else? Saturday. At what time? 9 a.m.
Get there and if you get there, the gate's closed. We're going to stop. I'll open the gate. We'll wait just inside the gate. Then I'll close the gate behind us because that's what they want us to do. And we'll caravan in. If you get there and the gate is open, just go down the road. It's a paved road. Then it turns into a dirt road to the right. Make a right to gravel. At the end of that parking lot, big long gravel parking lot, you'll see my gray truck parked there. I'll wait for everyone till 9:15 and then we'll caravan in. Just your PPE, yeah, your glove, suit, no tools, no smokers. We have all that out there. We don't want to cross-contaminate anything from your hive to ours or back and forth. So we have everything. Just bring some water and your suit and whatever you need. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, Turner?
Is it Turner? Yeah.
And you do have to be a current member. So if you're not sure if you're a current member, see me. I'll let you know. Okay.
Hopefully less than 2 hours. The temperatures I've been watching will be right by about 9 in the morning where I feel safe opening. But I don't want to go past 11 because it's going to start warming up. So less than 2 hours. We're going to might check 2 hives. We're going to inspect one other hive for a queen, make sure it's queen right, and she's laying. And then we're going to feed all 4 hives.
All right. Well, we'll be around for a little bit longer. We're going to start packing up, but anything to add, Judy? Anything to add, Mark? Nothing of anything? Okay. All right. I think we're good. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Thank you. Oh, raffle here. Let me hand this over. Okay. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody that's online.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna do this blind because sometimes I pick myself first and I feel